Ritual Control post Burst of Destiny. Let's go. Hi, it's Little Dragon Lady here, and I have an updated deck profile of my Ritual Control deck. I am so excited for this. After all, there was one Ritual monster in Burst of Destiny I was waiting for. I got it. So yes, I have made some significant changes to this deck, and I think you're going to love what I came up with. I've been doing some building last night, and I think I got it. So anyway, let's jump right into the profile. For the Incantation Engine, you are using everything. You're using 3 Incantation Chalice Slime. Most important card of the deck, level 7, so you can search for it. You reveal this card, ditch a card, and you special summon an Incantation from your deck to the field. And depending which one you special summon, depends on what you search for. So we have 3 Talismans, you reveal a Ritual monster. If this is summoned from the deck, you can search your deck for a Ritual monster. 3 Candles, reveal a Ritual Magic card. If this is summoned from the deck, you can search your deck for a Ritual Magic. 3 Pencil Plumes, you reveal a Ritual monster. If this is summoned from the deck, you can recover a Ritual monster from your grave to your hand. And 3 Bookstone, you reveal a Ritual Magic. If this is summoned from the deck, you can recover a Ritual Magic from your grave to your hand. And 3 Incantation Inception. This is crazy. This allows you to ritual summon any ritual monster, provided the tribute materials are incantations and the levels can equal or exceed. So this is just stupid. And of course, if this is in your grave, what you can do is you can activate the effect in the grave. So you can return this to your hand by sending an incantation from your field or your hand to the grave, and in turn special summon an incantation from your deck to the field. And again, depending on which one you special summon from the deck, depending on what you can search for or recover from your grave. So yes, use all of them. Trust me, you will not regret it. For ritual monsters, I have 1 Anthropomorphic Pain, the Imagination Drake Overlord. If you're playing any kind of ritual matchup card, this guy is essential, especially when you're going first. Once he hits the field, your opponent must skip their main phase 1. So if your opponent has no monsters in the field, they can't battle you, they just go on to their main phase 2. And as long as he stays on the field, all Fusion, Xray, and Synchro monsters are turned off. Their effects are negated. So this is a great card to play going first if you want to find out what your opponent is playing. 1 Boyfriend and 1 First Lady. These cards are crazy. The Shino Baron and Baroness. Once he hits the field, you can bounce up to 3 monsters back to your opponent's hand or extra deck, and when she hits the field, you can shuffle up to 3 back row cards back to the deck, and none of these are targeting effects. So if your opponent's monsters or back row has that kind of protections, this overrides it. Now of course they're both winged beasts and they're spirits, so at the end phase they will return to your hand and you do replace them with tokens. Now I keep getting questions about this. These tokens I made myself. I did not purchase them. I just print these up on high quality photo paper and I put them in sleeves behind an actual card. So there you go. That's how I make these. So yes, searchable through the Incantation Engine. These guys are great for the control aspect. 1 Odd Eyes Gravity Dragon, one of the most underrated ritual cards I think there is. Level 7, so you can't search it off a magic card. Once this guy hits the field, you bounce all your opponent's back row cards back to their hand, and your opponent cannot respond to this. The only way they can avoid this, if they were to negate the actual ritual magic card that would get this guy out. It is crazy. Also, as long as he stays on the field, your opponent must pay 500 life points in order to activate any card effects, like per card effect. So the great thing about this, say if your opponent's life points are already really low and you get this guy out, your opponent has limited life points to activate anything. And I've done this. I had an opponent down to maybe 2,000 life points. So that means they only have a few opportunities to use card effects. And once it gets to a point they can't pay, they cannot play. So this card is very devastating. 1 Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. Yes, I have to keep them. He's, yeah, what can I say? He's a 4,000 beat stick. He cannot be targeted, cannot be destroyed. So, and if he attacks into a defense position monster, it's double piercing. So this guy is still difficult to get around. A decent boss monster. So yes, search for this guy when the situation calls for it. And yes, you can often swing for game with this guy. Once Cyber Angel Benton, you will not be summoning her at all. She's searchable through magic cards. If she is used as a tribute material for a monster, which I have a couple of options, you can search your deck for a fairy monster, and I have a few options that you can use to search with her. One Transonic Bird. This is the ritual monster I was waiting for in Burst of Destiny. Now this card is crazy. Now we don't really care about the first effects, but the secondary effect that's important. What happens is it has a quick effect. During your opponent's turn, you can send a ritual magic card from your deck to the grave, and what happens, this activates that magic card. So essentially what you're doing is you're ritual summoning during your opponent's turn. Now, one of the best cards you can use for this effect is Magician of Black Chaos Max. So if you were to ritual summon this card during your opponent's main phase and you tribute a monster, your opponent cannot activate any monster effects at all. So you're basically turning off their deck. The only thing your opponent will have to work for is maybe some magic cards for searching, but that is it. You're basically locking your opponent out during their first turn. Now, say if you don't have access to this card because say you weren't able to search for this, or you have something else in your hand, well, there are some other good options. I mean, for example, once your opponent has some monsters on the field, you can use the quick effect to summon the boyfriend. So you can bounce those cards back to your opponent's hand or back to their extra deck. If your opponent has decided to set some traps, okay, well, you can get out the First Lady. You can bounce those traps back to the grave, back to their deck, so they won't be able to activate them during the next turn. And to a lesser extent, I mean, if you can, I mean, you could get out the Cuddlebug during the main phase, during their standby phase, because again, they will have to skip their main phase 1 and go, you know, no monsters, go to main phase 2, but I mean, I can't imagine you wanted to do that because, I mean, if you have him in your opening hand, you want to get him out. Yes, the best options for the bird, bird is the word, is the Magician of Black Chaos Max to turn off all their monster effects, or you can bounce or bounce. So yes, this card is crazy. So yes, one of the biggest improvements I think I have to the Ritual Control deck, along with the Magician of Black Chaos Max, but there are some other changes, so let's get to the magic cards. Also, as an honorable mention, I also want to talk about the Water Leviathan and Nixter, or as I like to call him, the boyfriend's pet snake. This guy is a very decent alternative to the Sharon Baron Peacock. What happens is when this guy hits the field, you bounce all monsters that has 2300 attack or less back to your opponent's hand or extra deck. Also, once this monster battles a monster, so whether he attacks or your opponent attacks, you activate a quick effect and it halves your opponent's monster's attack power. So even if you were to get like a 4000 beat stick attack into you or swing into you, or you swing into him, you can reduce the attack power to half and he can beat over it. So yes, I mean, I did play him briefly, but I mean, he is a great option if you just don't happen to have the boyfriend at hand. So yes, I just wanted to mention him because he's actually really decent. For normal summons, I have 2 as a board for the Mega Monarch. You can go ahead and use 3 if you like. This card is practically a win condition in on itself. The only problem is he's not searchable, so you have to hard draw into this guy. But when he goes off, holy moly, like, this is crazy. So you have to normal tribute summon this guy using 2 monsters, which is easy due to the Incantation Engine. And what happens is you use the effect to target himself, destroy him. And because he's a level 8, you send 8 monsters from your and your opponent's extra deck to the grave. And our extra deck is filled with grave effects, which is just amazing. Now, of course, if one of the monsters you use as a tribute is a light monster, you get to pick which monsters from your opponent's extra deck to send to the grave. So if you pick the right ones, this could win you the game. Now, I mentioned earlier about Cyber Angel Benton. If she's used as a tribute material and sent to the grave, you can actually search your deck for a fairy monster, and there are multiple opportunities you can use this as a tribute. So the options we have is one Defender of the Herald. If you normal summon her, you can send 1 fairy extra deck monster to the grave, and we have a few options because they do have grave effects. So she allows you to send like a Heralds of the Arclight or a Elder Entity Entis to either search your deck for a ritual monster or magic, or just pop a card in your opponent's side of the field. You can search for Artifact Lancia. This is a hand trap. If you activate this on your opponent's turn, they cannot banish anything. So yeah, a lot of decks rely on banishing. And 1 Vanity's Ruler. Normal summon this on your side of the field and you lock your opponent out from special summoning. Yep, I've won games with this, so like this guy is crazy. Okay, for magic cards, I have 3 Pop Extravagance for draw power. You're not going to be summoning anything from your extra deck. You can't anyway do the incantations. So you just banish 3 or 6 cards and draw 2 cards. 3 Preparation of Rites. This allows you to search your deck for a ritual monster that's level 7 or lower. Your primary target would be the Chalice Slime to get your engine going. But I mean, if you already have your engine, you can use this to search for your Benton, your Transonic Bird, or your Odd-Eyes Gravity Dragon. And also, if you happen to have a ritual magic card in your grave, you can recover it. 2 Pre-Preparation of Rites. I would like to boost this to 3, but I think 2 is working out just fine. I guess I'll have to play with that ratio some other time. But activate this and you add a ritual monster along with the corresponding ritual magic card. This does not work with incantations, unfortunately, because the incantation inception is not specifically listed on the Chalice Slime. But this does work for some other monsters. 1 Shino Bird's Calling. Yes, I reduced it to 1 because it's searchable off your Incantation Engine. Also, it can be searched through the Pre-Preparation of Rites. This is used to ritual summon your boyfriend or first lady, and the levels can equal or exceed, which is amazing. Also, you can banish from your graveyard as a tribute. So say if you have the Baroness in your grave and you want to get the Baron from your hand, well, activate this, banish the Baroness, and out comes the boyfriend. Last but not least, I have 1 Sonic Tracker. This is used to ritual summon your Transonic Bird. So this again is also searchable through your Pre-Preparation of Rites, your Incantation Engine, and the levels can equal or exceed, which I just love that concept so much. Also, as an added bonus, you can banish this from your graveyard, target 1 ritual monster you control, and you can send a ritual monster from your deck to your grave that has either the same type or attribute. So depending on what ritual monster you control, can depend on what one you want to send to the grave, and you can recover that to your hand by using your pencil bloom. So like the recursion in this is just crazy. I still want to give a special shout out to Reoccurring Nightmare. I love this card. I've been using this for a little while now. All this really does is you select 2 dark monsters with 0 defense from your graveyard and return them to your hand. So I mostly would use this for the incantations. It would apply to your Bookstone and your Talismandra. They're dark with 0 defense, but this can also apply to your Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragons. So in a pinch, you want to get them back to your hand, you can use this. But yeah, I just wanted to give this a quick shout out. Okay, for the extra deck, again, you're not going to be summoning anything. You're mostly using it for your grave effects. So it's going to be used for either Zaborg the Mega Monarch or Divinator the Herald. So 3 Elder Entity Entis. It's a fairy, so you use it off Herald. So once this hits the grave, what you do is you can target a card your opponent controls and you destroy it. 3 Herald of the Arclight, another fairy, off the effect of Herald. Once this hits the graveyard, you can search your deck for a ritual, magic, or monster. So that's very useful. 3 Fossil Warrior Skull Knight. Once it's in the graveyard, once per turn you can banish 1, and you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, and you can destroy it. 3 Wind Pegasus Enigster. No one suspects this card. It's great. So this is in your graveyard. If your opponent were to destroy one of your monsters, either by card effect or by battle, you chain by banishing this from your graveyard, and you target 1 card your opponent controls, and just shuffle it back into the deck. So monster, back row, doesn't matter. And if you don't have any incantations on your side of the field and you do want to go into your extra deck, you can get an IP Masquerena. She only requires 2 non-linked monsters to get out, and I have summoned her on a rare occasion when my opponent tried to flood my field with tokens, just try to block me out from summoning things. So I would link out the tokens to get to her, and we all will know what she does. Quick effect, you can swap her out for another monster. So the options I had would be a Nightmare Unicorn, so that'd be a free bounce, and 1 Nightmare Phoenix to destroy a back row. And yes, this is the collector's rare. I don't know if you can tell. But yes, I mean, but they're just discard fodder, if anything, or banish fodder for your Pop Extravagance. But yeah, this you're never ever going to go into these, but this is just to fill out your extra deck more than anything else. Now, as far as a side deck, it really depends on what your locals is playing. But I mean, here's some general wisdom, I guess, that can work with this deck. You know, you get your 3 Ash Blossoms, you can't go wrong with this. Very generic. There can only be 1. All your incantations and most of your ritual monsters, they're all different types. So whenever my opponent were to flip this on me, I just laugh. I'm like, okay, I can still work around this. But I mean, if your opponent is playing a deck that has all the same types, like if they're all dragons, for example, this can severely limit them. You're not using many traps at all, so you can have 2 Royal Decrees. Traps is a thing, so if you notice your opponent's playing a lot of them, this can just turn off their back row. 3 Winged Dragon of Ra. I love this card. You contribute 3 of your opponent's monsters, so they have a negate board. This also counts as a normal summon, so even if they have something that prevents you from special summoning, this can get around it. And the great thing is that, and I've done this, you can use Effective Boyfriend to bounce this back to your hand, and you can have it for another turn. So yeah, I've done this like a couple of turns in a row. And it can be very annoying. I just have one Necros of Unicorn on standby. Basically, he's kind of like the Cuddlebug, the Drake Overlord, except your opponent does get their main phase 1. But as long as this guy stays on the field, all of your opponent's extra deck monsters are turned off, so it includes a Link monster. So, like, you know, it's good, you know, depending. And of course, for the back row, hey, 2 Twin Twisters and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. So there you go. So that is my updated Ritual Control deck. I hope you like it. Is there any changes I should make to it? Hope you enjoyed it, and remember to be a good sport, to play the game, not the fame.